Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Thursday, May 9th. We got our coffee going. So I thought this morning we'd talk a little bit about how my day went yesterday. Like I told you, my life is content. And a little bit about the shop and then a little bit about cattle. How you like that? Both in the same video. So stay tuned. Alright, so welcome back. If you didn't already know it, my name is Eric and this is the Weekday Show. Available on podcast as well. So, yesterday we started out with rain coming down. And I knew we had to do some deliveries, girls. And they're not early risers, so we didn't want to push too early. And we had equipment had showed up the night before on trailers. Stuff just keeps showing up. So we started doing, we had 2 lawnmowers in there that needed a service. We had a wood chipper in there that needed a service. But when we put it hadn't been running in a decade. I don't know why the guy, if he hasn't used it in a decade, why he think he need to have it running now. But we said, okay, whatever, money's money, right? And it's one of them pull behind shippers on a little trailer. So we did a compression check on it. We tried first carb cleaner and it fired right up. Well, let's take a step back from there. I put a little bit of gas in it, and the gas started running everywhere. And it ended up being a broken shutoff, a fuel shutoff inline. So we fixed that. Give her a shot of carb cleaner, it fired up. But it wouldn't fire up on its own. I told Claude, so we need to do a compression check on it. So we did 2 different times, and they both come up to around 50 to 52 psi. Which we all know, right, is not even close to being high enough to run on its own. So Claude had some White Knight, White Castle, some kind of lubricant, and he sprayed it into the spark plug hole and left it. We went to do the first drop off, and that went well. The customer was thrilled her to death. We'd done a service on her Bobcat side by side. And up in our area, I don't know about your area, but side-by-sides and four-wheelers are still a pretty big thing. There's a lot of trails. There's miles of trails that you can ride. You can join certain clubs. And it's basically a fraction of what you can go on. Like during the snowmobile season, you have a lot more trails to have access to. But for the four-wheelers, they're limited to, farmers don't want their properties tore up with side-by-sides and four-wheelers going across them. But in the wintertime, they really, as long as it's not doing any damage to their stuff. And usually the clubs have their own limited liability policy, so if somebody gets hurt, the club's policy covers it. And the state of New York has stepped in now, and the state is saying if you're a landowner and you're willing to allow these clubs to go through you like snowmobile, that the state of New York will make sure that you are not liable for anything that happens on your property when it comes to that outdoor enjoyment. So a lot more farmers were willing to kind of say yay or nay. But the problem you run into is a lot of the guys with the snowmobiles have got the cans on, they call them. And they're loud. And if you find you're the one that goes through a quiet hamlet of mid to older people, retired people, and you're on a snowmobile that has canned exhaust, try not cracking it and revving it. Just idle your way through town. or you may not get the rights to come through that town the following year because the residents said no more. Same thing with the four-wheelers and side-by-sides. They go by our house all the time, and I have no problem with them. You know, the only thing I can't figure out is with these side-by-sides, why the state of New York is not allowing them to be registered yet. But for whatever reason, it's a revenue stream because there's so many people that have them now. But local law enforcement kind of look the other way. As long as you're not tearing up somebody's property or speeding or drinking and driving and that sort, you know, to each their own. Is you're out enjoying. But if you're doing those things, I can guarantee you that you're not going to be a happy camper when the state troopers or the local sheriff grab you. So we did that delivery. And Vicky is in her 70s, and her boyfriend, yes, her boyfriend, has also got a Kubota side-by-side. And that's a big deal for them, all the retirees getting together and riding the trails. Of course, they only go like 5 to 8 miles an hour every place they go, but they love it and they enjoy it. So we got back from there, and still raining. So we did a couple more services, got them knocked out of the way. And I want to thin down my herd, okay? And my herd presently is just under 60 head of Angus and Hereford. And the goal is, let's take it down to, because it's getting to be too much work. Every year the herd multiplies, right? And we take out beef animals for our freezers, and I sell so many animals a year for freezer beef. But it still isn't bringing the population down to where it's comfortable. If I stay with the same amount of cattle, I'm going to have to, increase more hay ground to put up hay for them, whether it's wrap bales or whether it's dry round bales. So I figured I'd just kill two birds with one stone because the prices are stupid right now, and it's supposed to hold like that until fall. But I figured, why not cash in and get rid of some of these animals, put some money back into the checking account to cover fuel for this summer, bale and twine, all the other stuff, and also take it down to a manageable where I always tell people when it comes to farming and having animals, when it becomes a pain in the ass, get rid of them. Just get rid of them. Don't keep going and going and going. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, why are you doing it? And a neighbor of ours was that way. He never culled anything out, and he just continued to let him breed and breed and breed until he got close to 75 wild beef animals, because he didn't work with them. But every morning and every night he was feeding them round bales. Didn't matter the weather, because we are like a postman, nor sleet nor rain nor freezing rain nor the old slogan, well, that's farmers. And it could be 30 below zero and you still have to feed your animals. So that means running the salamander to warm the tractors up, covering them with a tarp, plugging them in, everything. So I ended up building a corral system for the cows to try to handle them. They're not wild. I work with them every day, but it's like any animal. If you get it in a tight area and it gets spooked, all bets are off. And I've got a bull that I raised here from the farm. His mom is still here. And he's a probably 2.5 year old. And he's been getting more and more aggressive. So I wanted him gone. So my goal was definitely him. I want him gone. And I started grading them every day at a certain time, leaving the corral gates open so that they were coming in and out at that time of where yesterday when finally the rain stopped. It was like quarter after 10. I told Claudius I'm going to go up and see if I can get some of the animals I want gone in the corral. And so I went up, and the trailer didn't sit level with the ground, so the cow would have to step up. It was a foot difference between the ground and the bottom of the trailer. So I took my side-by-side up and grabbed my Mini, brought my Mini all the way down. That took half an hour, 40 minutes from getting the Deutsch unstuck the other day. And I marked where the tires were on the trailer. And then I just trenched on both sides so that when you backed into those with the trailer tires, it actually lowered the ass into the trailer so that it was actually laying around the ground. It was flush. So they didn't even have to step up. And so I went ahead and I grabbed my pails and I started grading. And sure enough, I had in there 2 of the animals I wanted to ship. And I was working them by myself. Once the grain was gone, now the mama cows, they were wanting to get back out. So I was letting them back out one at a time. So that the 2 that were in there I wanted to keep in there. And so I called Claude and I said, you want to come up and I want you to stand next to the trailer to plug a hole so they can't get through it. So he did. He come up, and I got rid of most of the mama cows, and I was down to those 2. But the group that I really wanted with that bull were just the other side of the lower fence. So I decided, well, what if I open this up and bring them in through here? So I opened up the corral there, and I brought in another group, and it had the bull, it had one of the cows I wanted gone, and it had another 2-year-old Chester in there that I wanted to ship. So they came in, I shut the corral up, I thinned down so I had 5 animals I wanted to go yesterday for today's sale that I'm going to. With just Claude and I, it's just too much. We get the cow would get on in the bull, but then the rest of them would be held back. So in trying to do that, ended up Chester found a spot that was weak and went right straight through it. And down the main road he ran. And right behind him was that older cow I wanted to ship. So now I got 2 cows running down the freaking road, a steer and a cow. So I hopped on my 4-wheeler and I went after them. In the meantime, Claude had stayed back, and the bull had got onto the trailer, so he slammed the doors shut. So when I got back, I said, if he's the one that goes, I'll be happy. So we got him up in the front part, and mine has 2 compartments in it. It's a 5th wheel, 16-foot gooseneck. So you got 8 foot in the front, 8 foot in the back, plus you got calves areas. So we locked him in the front. He was not a happy camper. He'd never been confined before. So that left 2 little steers, 1 little steer, 1 little bull that we didn't get a chance to band this past summer. And so we went ahead and we loaded them 2 little buggers on, got the gate shut, and headed to the sale barn with them. The other 2, Chester and Judy, I was able to walk them down to the further gate, open the gate, and they went right into the pasture, back in with the cows, so I knew they were fine. But we get down to the sale barn, and I'm telling the guys, just be careful. He's not a happy camper. And he was not. I mean, he was the one kid had his sweatshirt off and was kind of doing that, ole thing to distract him so they could get an ear tag in him. He wasn't having nothing to do with that. They thought they could cover his eyes, that he would become docile. And he became that bull that only saw red. I mean, he tried coming right up at him, and he was in a chute. But then came the thing of they didn't dare leave him by himself overnight in the sale barn. And I told him, I said, just stick him with the two that I brought with him. I said, he'll settle down with those two. They've been living together now all their lives. So today I'm supposed to pick up one fellow this morning at 8 o'clock. And round 2, we're going to see if 3 of us can get another 4 or 5 animals on the trailer and down for the sale that starts at 1:30, 2 o'clock this afternoon. So I'll let you know how we did tomorrow morning. With the chipper and the White Castle spray or whatever lubricant, end up bringing up to almost 90. And Claude's got it running now on gas when he pours gas in, but the carburetor is just trashed. But on that note, you guys have a great Thursday morning.